Chinese reforms? We keep on hearing about this. And, you know, it's Xi Jinping's stated aim to have an economy more modelled on market-based principles. Well, you know, with all this meddling, isn't that just all really just hot air?
Well, it certainly doesn't add much support to the reform agenda, Rish. It's a very mixed signal. On the one hand, they are preaching, look, we want to open up the economy, we want to modernise it, liberalise interest rates and all the rest of it, make the currency more international, the stuff we all hear about every week. Yet here they are, when the market goes on a slide, the government comes in and throws the kitchen sink at it, including using the central bank.
Yeah, but that's the thing, wasn't it? It was constant meddling, wasn't it, Paul? I mean, it was just all these headlines keeping on coming, that so-and-so's done this, they want, you know, bans on trading for 6 months, etc. So who screwed up here?
Well, I mean, I think certainly the regulator, the securities regulator, didn't do enough. You've got to remember that it was as long ago as December last year that analysts were talking about mania taking hold amongst retail investors in China. You could see the levels of leverage going up and up. The regulator made some tentative efforts to try and cool the market, but nothing substantial. But the question really is, what freedom did the regulator have? Did the regulator...
Xiaogang,
yeah.
Xiaogang, sorry,
I think the question is, you know, did the regulator feel that the government wants a rising market and we need to support that, we can't interfere? So, you know, to some extent, you know, maybe the regulator did a bad job, but maybe the regulator couldn't do a good one.
Yeah, and that's just here. You know, what about PBOC Governor Zhou and all this too?
Well, it's pretty fascinating. It's like Paul mentions. The big question is, why did they let it go so high in the first place? And what were the policymakers saying behind the scenes? Outwardly, you would think that PBOC Governor Zhou would have been against this kind of a massive rise, knowing the risk that goes with it.
And the inherent conservatism that you do have as you're a governor of a central bank, of course. Yeah,
market stability, like Paul said, people were warning, there's a lot of leverage here. You would think it goes against the grain of everything that a central bank stands for. So it would be great to know what his policymakers were thinking to begin with, but now it is what it is. They have to clean up the mess, and it's clearly a role for the PBOC here in terms of market stability. The problem is that they may have tarnished their credibility at the same time.
Yeah, that's just it, isn't it, Paul? I mean, how badly damaged is that credibility? I mean, we're always investing in Chinese equities was had a caveat or two attached to it, and now it's got a series of more deep-seated caveats, if you will.
I think that's right, and I mean, we're seeing the market bounce back today. We saw that yesterday, but there's absolutely no certainty that's going to continue. The pressures are still there. There's still a huge...
And half of the market's not functioning anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So, I mean, any rational investor you think might avoid it, but also any opportunistic investor might see some chances in there in this very kind of strange market.
Yeah, indeed. What are people talking about, telling you here, and about the possibility of this recent rally? Well, here, 2 days old so far, not even 2. Just having some legs.
Well, look, it's like you just said, Rish, it's half the market that's open, the other half still closed, so by no means are we looking at a fully functioning market.
Yeah, I mean, what did they do? Did they very gradually start to relist these companies, asked to be relisted?
Well, I guess when they're confident enough that the market is a floor in the market for these companies, they might do that. And we have seen some big names like Goldman Sachs and others say, you know, calling a buy, it's time to go back into the market. But by all accounts, this just shows you how far China still has to go in terms of really modernising its economy and calling itself, you know, an open, free market economy, at the same time as they want their currency to be given reserve status and investors all around the world to buy it. It's a pretty strange message to send out. Look, come on into us, take our currency, but hey, don't mind that we meddle with the stock market anytime as well.
Is the reform agenda over with, either of you?
It's certainly not over with, because, I mean, China must reform to keep moving ahead to support the economy, because the old drivers of growth, you know, the accession to the WTO in 2001 that sparked, you know, the huge economic gains, you know, they need reforms to keep growth going.
Absolutely, and they want these market reforms or market-based reforms, don't they, Enda, until they don't.
The problem is that the anti-reform agenda may have been a little bit emboldened by what's happened here, because if you're around a table saying open up the capital borders, let the money flow freely, let's take in foreign capital, well, you can turn around and say if we'd done that, the stock market crash would have been a lot worse and we wouldn't be able to control it. So those anti-reform guys may have been given some ammunition here, but that said, bigger picture, I agree with Paul that China needs to keep rolling forward with these reforms. Zhou Yangkang was talking about it again last night in Russia. So by all accounts, I think, and the SDR and the yuan push is one of their key economic priorities this year. So I don't think we'll see a reversal model of the reform agenda, but maybe a near-term slowdown, or at least a hit to their credibility.
Final thoughts?
I'd just say that I was just on a conference call that Bank of America are having at the moment, where their analyst is saying that the chances of a financial crisis have gone up seriously because of this.
Yes, indeed. Andy Shea, economist, saying that a financial crisis has been going on for a while here as well, and all started off by that housing boom and bust, if you will.
Yeah, and I think one of the points also is the China crisis has been a little bit overshadowed by Greece, but people say don't ignore it, it's still a big threat to growth in Asia.